Although of the fantasy genre, what distinguishes The Witcher 3 is its realistic characters. Realistic in the sense that Yennefer, Geralt, Ciri, Eskel, and the host of other NPCs, although far from mere humans, evince completely human personalities. This is something that is rare. Too often, characters come off as shallow, one-dimensional, and bland. Some villains are especially well characterised in The Witcher 3. CD Projekt Red made an effort to make every evildoer multifaceted. In this video, I want to focus on two sets of villains in particular, because I believe they're good candidates for the best villains in RPG gaming. Gaunter O'Dimm is a man, or should I say demon, god, of contrasts. Although he appears but a mangy vagrant, it is precisely his powerless facade that makes him so sinister. Gaunter O'Dimm never raises a fist, never shouts, never screams, and never uses conventional magic. He dresses up as a poor peasant, speaks softly, is unarmed, and yet he commands every scene that he is in.
O'Dimm, what do you want?
What do you mean, what? Your soul.
He is seemingly omnipotent after all. He steals souls, grants wishes, and can teleport at will. Part of Gaunter O'Dimm's brilliance stems from the mystery surrounding him. In White Orchard, he merely gives the Witcher advice on where to find Yennefer. He later rescues Geralt from the Ophiri ship. Eventually, he demonstrates that he has control over time itself. But we never find out exactly who Gaunter O'Dimm is. He refuses to tell the Witcher his real name. Some speculate that O'Dimm is the Witcher universe's equivalent of the devil, or at least a demon. This would be fittingly ironic, seeing as O'Dimm's initials spell God. However, what makes Gaunter O'Dimm fascinating is that, like all good villains, within him there is an extent of moral ambiguity. Gaunter O'Dimm is far from simply evil. O'Dimm reflects the evil within humans themselves. Olgierd von Everec is a prime example. Olgierd, prior to his meeting with O'Dimm, was nothing more than a common bandit, raping, pillaging, and murdering to his heart's content. From O'Dimm, he arguably got what he deserved. He traded his brother's life for the betterment of his own. True, Olgierd was tricked by O'Dimm. As a consequence of his request for immortality, von Everec developed a heart of stone, which prevented him from feeling any emotion. His marriage thus broke down as he lost all sense of love. This heart of stone exacerbated many of von Everec's worst qualities, but the important thing is that those qualities were already there. One could thus say that O'Dimm merely facilitated the worst of von Everec, and therefore that Gaunter O'Dimm is only evil in relation to how far humans themselves exhibit selfish, malignant desires. The game ultimately gives you the choice as to who the main villain is in Hearts of Stone. If you believe it to be Olgierd and do not see it as worthwhile rescuing him, then you may let Gaunter O'Dimm consume his soul. Conversely, if you believe that O'Dimm is evil, insofar that he chooses to magnify the evil within the world, then you may challenge him and beat him at his own game. I suppose a question implicit at the heart of this questline is, what is more evil? A human capable of love who chooses an evil path, or a demon born evil who fulfills their purpose? I think that the strengths of O'Dimm as a villain can be summarised in three ways. Firstly, that he's far more sinister because he ultimately remains mysterious. Secondly, that the extent of his evilness is ambiguous because he reflects the degeneracy of humans themselves. And finally, that Gaunter O'Dimm's appearance contrasts so heavily with his overwhelming power. Some of these areas overlap with the other villains I want to consider in this video, the Witches of Crookback Bog. Like O'Dimm, the witches are merely alluded to at first. Who or what they are is shrouded in ambiguity. Whispers of the Crones reach the Witcher from villagers who pay homage to them. Indeed, the Crones are revered as local deities on whom the peasants are dependent. But as the Witcher traces his adoptive daughter's footsteps, it becomes apparent that the Crones are far more sinister than their portrait suggests. Even then, it's unclear exactly what they are. I have a video dedicated to speculating on that topic if you want to check it out. My personal take is that the Crones of the Bog are inspired by traditional pagan deities. They have limited power, always want something in return for their good grace, and have their own wants and desires. Indeed, the Crones demand ears and children as sacrifices in return for the granting of acorns that the peasants use to make medicine and increase the fertility of the soil. Another area of overlap then is that of moral ambiguity. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the Crones or O'Dimm are good, I'm just suggesting that it's not as simple as their being completely evil. The Crones do help the villagers to survive even if the cost of their favour is incredibly high. But in many important ways the Crones of the Bog diverge from O'Dimm. They are, I think, a different type of villain. The Crones are conspicuously malignant, whereas O'Dimm isn't. The witches take on disgusting forms, as the Weavess, Brewess and Wispess, that make it clear they're malevolent. The Crones shine as villains because of the sheer hatred that they evoke from the player. Their depravity, disregard for human life, and lust for human flesh are all traits that make them easy to hate. O'Dimm makes us think, most of all about human nature, whereas the Crones provoke disgust. They are everyone's worst nightmare. I think there are a few other villains that are as universally despised as the Crones of Crookback Bog. So to the question at the heart of this video, who is the better villain out of these two sets of incredible antagonists? Personally, I prefer antagonists that are multifaceted. Whilst the Crones are far from one-dimensional, after all they're depended upon by the local peasants, O'Dimm is a villain that is more thought-provoking, contradictory and mysterious. I think that it's harder to hate O'Dimm. For some, this might be grounds for him being a lesser villain, but I think that a consistent theme in The Witcher 3 is that of human depravity. The Witcher often finds that humans are more vile and dangerous than the monsters he's tasked with slaying. O'Dimm furthers this theme. His evilness is commensurate only with that of humans themselves. On that basis, I believe O'Dimm to be the superior villain and one of the best ever antagonists in gaming. Thank you for watching this video. I just want to quickly say that I'm back from university for the next 5 weeks or so expect lots of new content. I will also, of course, be playing and making videos on Cyberpunk 2077, so please keep an eye out for that. I'm eagerly waiting the 10th of December. Hopefully they don't push it back again. I want to give a quick shout out as well to Apex Gaming PCs. Using the code Avarti you can get 5% off their vast array of gaming PCs which are made to suit every budget and every price point. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next video.